And so, precursors to the millennial reign and the return, there's a lot of them. I'm going to try to go through them real quick. A lot of precursors according to the Messiah. So I'm going to go over them. You guys can read Matthew chapter 24. That's where I'm getting these from, Yeshua's words himself. There shall arise false Christ and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders. The gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world. Abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place. Iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. After the tribulation of those days is what's going to happen. The sun should be darkened, the moon shall not give her light. Stars shall fall from heaven, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and shall gather, this is key, together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. I am looking forward to that. And then there's also Wormwood. There it is, Revelation. That's where we're getting some of the stuff from. And you see in the prophets, like Peter said, be mindful of the prophets. It's even mentioned in Joel, Zephaniah, Isaiah, these same exact things. Stars withdrawing, the sun and moon being darkened. You see those things right there in Joel chapter 3. Egypt will be desolate, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. He shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. There's going to be survivors on that day of destruction. They're going to be outside the camp. It says people from every nation required to go to the kingdom to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles and worship Yahuwah so that they can receive rain. This is in Isaiah and Zechariah. That didn't happen over the last 1,000 years. Yahuwah shall be king over all the earth in that day. Shall there be one Yah and his name one? And then he will gather us from the four winds of heaven, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. That's yet to happen. Then will I turn the people to a pure language, that they may call or all call upon the name of Yahuwah. That hasn't happened. That's going to undo the Tower of Babel. That's going to bring us back to that garden way of life. All other kingdoms will end. Everyone shall worship Yahuwah from their location. Like Peter said, be mindful of the words of the prophets. Yeshua prophesied many times as well. Worldwide resurrection and gathering of the elect. The elect will meet Yahuwah and Yeshua in the air. 2 witnesses killed. All that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, the beast. This is precursors here, whose name are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. The Euphrates will dry up. Again, we saw that is happening as we speak. Merchants of the earth deceive the world with pharmakia. So lots of stuff in prophecy. Nations literally not going to war anymore, turning their swords into plowshares, like it says in Isaiah. All the nations flowing unto it, talking about his house that's established on the top of the mountains, exalted above the hills, the Most High being the King of the earth. Gosh, I cannot wait. This is going to be awesome, guys. There's no writings of that. That's happened. People are going there for 1,000 years. He's going to be king from then on. They're going to try to attack this king. It's not going to work. So many things. Even what David talks about here. The meek shall eat and be satisfied. They shall praise the Lord that seek him. Your heart shall live forever, and all the ends of the world shall remember and turn unto the Lord. And all kindreds of the nations shall worship before thee. For the kingdom is the Lord's, and he is governor among the nations. So a lot of stuff has happened over the last 1,000 years. If you haven't researched into the past, the prophecies were being fulfilled. It has to be fulfilled. The word's going to reach every nation. But Christianity being persecuted for a couple hundred, several hundred years, or 1,000 years, really. I mean, like the Inquisitions, they were going after people like me, heretics, people who actually believe that the beloved Son is who he says he is. They want you to deny that and accept their creeds that were created a few hundred years after Yeshua left. They're changing his image. You have to adhere to those Roman creeds to this day. I mean, this is important stuff. These are things that have been going on, which would have been going on during the millennial reign, the Inquisitions, the creeds, all of that, if we're in the little season. Feeding them to lions, all the wars that happened after. We've gone through this before. There's so many different wars in every century. There's locations. A lot of people say it's at the North Pole. I understand why they believe that. And the verses are in Jubilees. It sounds like it's literally talking about the North Pole. But you have places like Zechariah that tell us where it's at. Ezekiel tells us where it's at. Talks about the Mount of Olives being significant, where his feet touch down. Locations according to prophecy. There's just so many of them. Mount Zion. And again, we were just reading about that in Jubilees today, Mount Zion. He didn't walk very far. He didn't walk to the North Pole. It only took him a few days to get there. You can see these places on maps that are written about in prophecy. Lands being flattened out. The Mount of Olives being basically broken apart. And it talks about it being in Jubilees the center of the navel of the earth. And a lot of people think that's the center of the navel of the world. But the center of the navel of the earth is the center of that dry land, where they were when these prophecies were spoken, the known world. And right in the center of it, or pretty close to it, is where all these prophecies are taking place. It's like a big square. It almost has corners, the corners of the earth. Pretty cool. And so what difference does it make? Well, if you believe we're pre-resurrection, you're going to pray like Yeshua told us, thy kingdom come. You're going to preach the gospel of the kingdom. You're going to be mindful of the prophets, like Peter said, and understand that a day is as 1,000 years and 1,000 years as a day. You're going to be preparing and awaiting that resurrection, that last trumpet. If you think we're in the little season, it's going to be a little different. The kingdom has already come. You're going to be studying Tartaria. You're going to be studying a second flood that came, the mud floods, and preparing. Essentially all you have to do is avoid that battle of Gog and Magog. And so it is two different things. It's two different ways of life, ways to live. So it does, in my opinion, make a difference what you believe, because Yeshua told us how to live and the gospel to preach, the gospel of the kingdom that is going to come.